Welcome to Threads of Sustainability, where you get to hear the passionate, informative, and engaging conversations of creatives, makers, manufacturers, and producers from all over the globe. We explore what sustainability can look like in the quilting, fiber, and textile world, and I'm your host, Bridget O'Flaherty, also known as the Sustainable Quilter. I'm so excited for this week's episode. I think I say that every time I do a show, but I am excited every week. Really, every time I'm doing an episode, I have fantastic guests, and this one is not going to disappoint you. I was in Vancouver in June, and I was there for Quilt Canada, and I got to go down to Granville Island and go to Maiwa. And I got to meet with the company owner, Charllotte Kwon, and she is such an inspirational human being. She's been working hard for the last 30 years, I think, or maybe more, to bring sustainability to the dyeing and textile industry. She has a company that produces natural dyes and works with people overseas and works with artisans and farmers directly to make sure there's living wages happening. She's doing the whole package of sustainability. It's the whole thing of environmental, social, and economic considerations and lenses that she's looking through. She shares so much of her information. She has so much that's available on offer on her website for you. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation. It was packed full of such interesting stuff that I couldn't edit anything out, and it's the longest interview I've done up to this point. Anyway, I really hope you enjoy it as much as I did. The work that you do is just incredible as far as I can tell. And I think that it's I think having the manufacturers, producers, and the people that are suppliers of goods and materials that crafters use, having them telling their stories is also really important so that people know they've got options.
Exactly.
And they know that those efforts have already been done at the back end rather than trying to, the upcycling and recycling is fantastic. I think that that's a really great movement and great efforts towards sustainability. But we also have raw materials and new materials that we are using and utilizing. And, I think we need to demand from our manufacturers and producers to do better.
Absolutely. I mean, that's where it all begins and ends, is with our buying power.
Yeah.
We actually are huge decision makers as purchasers in any field that we're in.
Yeah.
And that would go for, our field, which we're big, and have been for 30 years, proponents of slowing down the fashion industry and the textile industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And understanding that there's no accountability in there. We can't depend on anybody doing it for us.
No.
And people often feel that, what am I going to do? I'm only one person. I can't change the world. But actually, that's how the world changes. It's at the grassroots.
I agree completely. Yeah. I feel like those small actions really, really matter. And they start ripples within our own selves and our own individual lives. Yeah. They move into our communities and they grow.
Exactly.
And that is how change actually happens.
That is how change happens.
Yeah.
And there's been a huge disservice to people, workers, the environment, everything, by the way that we do our accounting. And so that bottom line accounting is so out of whack that the only way we can do it is to say, well, I'm not going to buy that. I don't understand it. I don't know exactly where they're getting it from, how that fabric is made. I'm not getting any answers. I'm just not going to buy.
Yeah. And there's power in that.
It's as easy as that. Yeah. It's like people complaining when my kids were young, all the parent teacher meetings were about, we got to, there's too much advertising on the television about, sugar and cereals and whatever. Well, there's an on-off button too.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
You can stop.
You can stop.
And there is power in that.
There's power in that. There's power. You might think, what is, I just want to get that fabric. And yet I'm pretty sure that surface treatment on it maybe is a chemical, or maybe is, not that all chemicals are bad. I'm not saying that, but maybe I don't know what that fire treatment is or fire retardant on that fabric is. So what is that? That sounds nasty. Maybe I just won't buy it.
Yeah.
And you think that doesn't make any difference whatsoever. My 3 meters of fabric I didn't buy, but it actually does.
Yeah.
It sends a message. It sends a message, especially if you ask the questions. Like, we really welcome questions in our company, and we don't feel that they're negative or critical.
Right.
When people say, where do you get your cotton, or how, what is the certification of it, or how is and sometimes we go, there was one person who started a huge thing in our company by just saying, okay, it's certified organic, but on the field, but where does it go after that? To the gin, to the weave, to the mill? Is it certified? And that's when we made a huge shift to understand that and realize, okay, certified organic cotton really doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It needs to be triple certified at each stage.
I love getting into the weeds of the technical stuff. So you've got the certification of organic at the production stage.
Exactly. And in India, we work in India. And, it's not lost on anybody that there's a lot of corruption in India, but there's a lot of corruption everywhere.
Sure.
So we already made the decision not to get certification in India. We made the decision to work with a company that's certified outside India and certified on Indian soil. And it's very, very different. They had to be very sensitive because in India, there's not 500 hectare farms. There's 5-acre farms.
Right. It's all individual, so small, family run.
So they can't necessarily have the distance between chemical use on farms and non-chemical use on farms. There's not that there's transition, but not transition of space.
Right.
Transition of time, though, with the farms. And so that particular organization who we work through, they also require the buyer, us, to buy the cotton. Basically, if we're going to buy 3,000 meters of cotton, we have to buy it at the farm stage when it's planted. We have to put a deposit down to assure. So then it was because this question came up from a customer, because that happened. That's how we found this double certified outside of India company that works certifying farms in India, and was able to give us certification off the land, certification out of the gin when it goes to the gin, and certification out of the mill. Okay. So we went on a huge learning curve.
And so what does that look like? Like, what does an organic that's triple certified, what are they not doing, or what are they doing that gets that to the organic stage?
If it's not triple certified, or if it
is triple certified, so
it's a little bit more dense as far as what your certification. It's a more expensive product in the end.
Okay.
Because it's possible to get it certified off the land, get your certification, and then send it to a more cheaper gin that mixes certified and uncertified cotton, or that's uncertified cotton is also ginned in the gin. Okay. Or in the
so
mill.
It's not staying cleanly organic. Okay, I see.
And that might not be the case in, say, the EU, for sure not, because their certification is of a higher standard, perhaps.
Okay.
To put it gently. But in India, this is a problem.
Okay.
And it was that kind of thought, well, I went outside of India to get for certification, but maybe it's not enough. So those are sort of the questions that come up from customers. Some of them it's just basic question and answer, and we tell them, but some of it makes you really think. Yeah. So customers don't even understand how far we're not looking for unkindness.
No, of course.
We're looking for constructive dialogue, I guess, and the customer has a lot of power, and but that power needs to be also like educate yourself, be interested in the products, and that has been our thing for 30 years. But now it's I don't think there's a person that doesn't understand that we're getting to the end of our ability for cheap blinders on what we buy.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me a little bit about that history. You've been here 35 years. Is that right?
35 years. Yeah.
And you've always had a sustainability.
Yeah. That's the reason we started.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about those grassroots at the beginning stages. What, like, was it out of your kitchen? Like, how did you?
Yeah. Out of a basement studio. Okay. I mean, my little bit, for a very short story, I was in printing. I was in offset printing. I was one of the first women to actually go through to get my certification to be an offset press operator on large machines.
Amazing.
Yeah, it didn't last long because at that time, there was no protection, no nothing, we weren't even educated in that, solvents.
So environmentally, it was not good for you.
No. And I got blood poisoning that ended up being quite severe. And we have a WCB here. So workman's compensation. They were like, you can never go back into that industry. So I got retrained. I got to choose, and I went to Capilano College, which is now Capilano University, to take textiles because I loved color. That's what got me into
the
printing in the first place, and being an offset printer and
Nice.
being in color control and that. But it was lead poisoning for the blood poisoning, so that was the lead-based inks, which now are soy-based.
Right, yeah. It's changed.
Yeah, it's changed. So for me, that's what sparked my interest in color, and I love textiles, went through the textile program at Cap College, and then realized that my love was natural dyes. And even though they didn't have a big natural dye department, that's where I ended up.
That was what you wanted to focus on.
And that's what started the natural dye kind of journey for me, and traveling and finding dyers and finding people who'd committed lives to dyeing. And I just have never left that.
And so you started importing natural dyes. That was always how you done it? Or
both,
did you...
synthetic and natural.
Okay.
I was a synthetic dyer as well, just kind of because there wasn't a lot of natural dyes. Synthetic dyeing was taught in CAP, and I brought in synthetic dyes, and we gradually, only very recently, again, like you, we're not against anything, but we were really for the story of natural dyes. But at the time we started, oh my God, people had no idea.
Right.
Really, very little idea. In many other countries around the world, it was still deeply ingrained, but here it was, indigo was a good foray because of jeans, but all that's all synthetic indigo. But yeah, the journey has been long and wonderful, but I would say only more recently have I felt it's no longer a trend. It's ingrained. It's embedded in the thought minds of people. Is this natural dye or is this not natural dye? I mean, back in the 90s, there was a huge pushback from the synthetic dye industry against the natural dye resurgence in the West. And then we knew who were in it, where we know, okay, it's really making a difference now. If synthetic dye industry is pushing back. That's a synthetic dye industry. There was always the chemistry to make it better. There wasn't the will or the need in their minds. There was no government regulations. Really, the EU led that, but not in North America. Okay. And definitely not in the rest of the world, because everybody just went to the rest of the world to be their back factory to use all the nasty chemicals that hadn't been, sorted out. But the fact that natural dyes was becoming on people's radar meant that people started asking about the dyes, synthetic dyes, getting dumped into waterways and what people were used, and why could, a lot of effort of a lot of good people be spent getting synthetic dyes cleaned up in the workplace and in the environment, but we could still import synthetically dyed fabrics that were not abiding by or not being regulated.
Right.
So the EU stopped that.
Between
there was a disconnect, absolutely,
to where the production was and where the
absolutely
where it was being imported to.
But it's the people that started questioning.
Yeah,
it's just like the slow foods movement, the slow textiles or slow clothes movement followed the slow foods movement.
So you started in this small way that you wanted to start bringing in these natural dyes, and you did some synthetics at the time, and
they were our gateway dye.
Your gateway dye.
Synthetic dyes keep people coming in the door and taking workshops.
And so how did you, like when you decided to bring in a specific dye, how did you determine which farm, which place you would be getting it from?
I had no contract with Cerulean Blue in Seattle, but I brought in they were the first people in my life that were sourcing natural. I'm sure other people were, but they were the ones I knew. Okay. And I had a loose partnership with them for years that we brought everything in, and then they went in different directions. And I started looking for them. That started me traveling, visiting farms, talking to farmers, and mostly outside of North America.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly outside of North America. Now we have a dye research garden, have done for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I was seeing you had a post recently about your dye garden.
Yeah, it's cold at the moment. That dye garden is sad, but it'll come. But we're doing a lot of research on what dyes potentially could be grown here.
Nice.
And I'm quite involved in in Europe and different European researchers and so forth. And all our extracts are made, some in Germany and some in France. And I'm very interested and inspired by their by the regulations that they've put in place to help the natural dye industry to survive. And,
right.
You know, it's deemed a rotation crop, or if land has to be left fallow, dyes can be grown on it.
Okay.
So you know, obviously every country has its farm regulations and so forth, and we'd like to see that come to Canada.
Yeah, and so right now it's not there, but is there?
It's not there, and it needs, you know, for farmers to take a chance. Farmers need funding for sure.
Right. Is there an appetite for it?
Yeah. Anybody we talk to that's a farmer goes, you get that that's how much I can get a kilo. I'm in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they'd be happy to have that as a rotational crop.
Yeah. So that's what our research dye garden is, very much there for us to understand and to see what we can grow on small, and just extrapolate it out. It's how we did it in India to get dyers or get farmers to grow dyes that they used to grow, but there was no market. But now the market is bigger.
Okay, so you're dealing with farmers and hoping to be able to get those dyes happening here as a rotational crop.
Not all of them, but some of them grow in
that
this
was my
zone
question
5,
for you. What I'm wanting to
our zones.
Yeah, what I'm wanting to have an understanding is what kind of dyes are you seeing?
For lots of reasons, dyes grow in certain parts of the world, and we don't necessarily always partner with farmers and work with them to grow things they haven't grown before. We'll partner also with other people around the world that are reestablishing agricultural color.
Right.
I guess is it for a good word. And so like our cochineal would never grow here. It doesn't grow in India, but we partner with those that are growing it and are really doing it in a great sustainable way. And we're not that interested in any of the foraging I think foraging on a one-to-one case-by-case basis is good, but a company like us would be irresponsible. Any company, even as small as we are, would be irresponsible to forage without, forgetting our dyes, because we're buying
the volume is just
half a ton to a ton at a time.
And so
that's another thing that we're really...
That's like not sustainable harvesting.
It's not sustainable. And foraging is a big thing. Now it's a big, it's a trend which might get some feet to it and need to be regulated or self-regulated or something. But a company should not do that, I don't think.
Yeah, like I go into my backwoods and I will get the goldenrod and use the goldenrod that grows on the roadside.
Goldenrod might be the exception. Tansy as well.
There's a lot of it.
Maybe. But not really. I mean, then it should be left for the individuals.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be even, I don't know, the Goldenrod Sweater Company of, whatever, North America, probably no.
Right.
Because they'd have to take so much and they might be
impacting. So it would be like doing monocropping almost, right?
Exactly.
And just not doing it necessarily in a sustainable way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that perspective of it. So
we're looking at, like, we go and we work directly with every farm that we work with, every color that we bring in, we work directly with the farmers that are doing it. So, and the last one has been logwood, which we're working with a sustainable logwood grower who had it historically in their family, and now he's and his wife have moved back to Mexico and have started this fantastic logwood. But that was the one dye that for a long time we bought it from different places, and we're told that it was, absolutely sustainably grown, but it was in areas that we couldn't actually go, and Haiti being one of them, and Nicaragua being another.
Dangerous areas.
Yeah, that we felt like, that's just not something we want to continue. And then we got this great partnership with this family. So, but every dye that we bring in, we work directly with the farmer. We're not just told. And when things come off the field, we are there. And
right. So one of the questions that I had is, like, the environmental impacts. You're being really careful about how that's being done. You're looking for certifications on those various different sustainable things.
Mm-hmm.
Are there sustainable certifications on the dye harvesting, or is it more
we leave that a little bit at this point to the farmer. They're already taking such a chance,
Right.
growing a crop that we can guarantee our purchase capacity, but we can't guarantee that that would grow.
Right.
We're hoping, and but we're sort of leaving it up. Natural dyes don't need a lot of
They don't need the pesticides.
they don't need pesticides,
agrochemicals.
and they don't even need fertilizer.
Okay.
So, they're robust plants for the most part.
Okay.
So that we watch, but getting certification, we've learned costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it has to be redone every year.
Right.
And so in the natural dye world, there's a lot of call for that, for sure, from the EU. There's a lot of call for that, and we're not there exactly.
Yeah.
We're very careful not to say, our indigo is certified organically grown and our henna is certified organically grown, but we don't even put that out there really in our work, because we don't want to make it so that everybody is expected to do that at this point.
Right.
But it's working towards that, and as farmers find that these crops are making them a good living wage, then
so that was my next question is how are you able to, like, who determines what a living wage is?
Oh, it's really easy to go we're having to do that all the time in India, because not a living wage is very different from somebody living in the middle of Delhi to somebody living in a village. But it's easy to figure out the living wage from statistics and so forth, and we're very interested in that. And also because we work on the ground, we're in communication. I mean, the last 2 years is the first time in 35 years that I haven't gone to India regularly.
Right.
And so whether we're working with embroiderers or block printers or weavers or farmers, we're always meeting with them and having large open meetings of saying, this is what we sell it for and this is why. Now let's go back to what you're charging us and see all that process and what that gets to. And let's look at what you sell it to us for and what that buys you.
Right.
And here's the stats for living wage. Do you agree? Do you not agree? And we just sit and have endless conversations of
that's
costing.
Awesome.
And for me, it's as creative as being a dyer myself or being a weaver myself.
Yeah.
Is the costing and how to change lives and how to change the world.
Yeah. Well, and in the world of sustainability, there's those three pillars, right? There's the environmental, the economic, and the social.
Yeah.
And without all three, we don't have sustainability.
Yeah. And the economics part of that, for all of my life, I know it has not taken into consideration water, land contamination, and the use of slave or borderline slave employment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's not accounting. That's not proper accounting.
No.
And that's something that we work as a group ourselves. And whenever we meet, we're a company. We have a foundation, but what you and I are talking about is Maiwa Ltd. Maiwa as a profit-making company.
Absolutely.
And it is very inspiring to me that we can make a profit.
Yeah.
And so can everybody else.
And still contribute to the profit of the other people in the
But we don't have to do
chain.
it by, everybody who works here makes a living wage for here.
Yeah.
And everybody who works here, including me and my family who own the company, we just need as much as we need to live.
Right.
And if we want to go up, we need to think how I've always thought about it. Everybody has to come up.
Right.
And that includes maybe our dye packagers, to the farmers we work with, to the embroiderers that sit in the villages and that. So for us, we actually have quite a deep and strong reputation in India for this.
Nice.
And for these economic roundtables and economic and doing what we call we do master classes in all kinds of things, but we also do master classes in accounting.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. You've got like a university that you've set, or a college that you've set up here for education for people? No,
not here in Canada. No, we link with the University UBC with their engineering department, and we have it's a wonderful program where we go in and talk about real life problems that engineers love to solve. Real life problems in an Indian village with all the boundaries and ramifications of what it is living in India. Because what we see is tons of engineering projects in India, scattered around India, great pipes, great things, great whatevers that can't be fixed, can't be used, can't be maintained. Right. People on the ground aren't trained. And people on the ground who are trained, who went out there, were out there for 6 to 12 months, and then they've gone back to Bangalore or Delhi or somewhere.
And the knowledge isn't
and it all
on.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
And we see this a lot. So that came up in a lecture, and somebody, a prof from the university, said, we need Maiwa, and we need to partner with the engineer department in year 3, in their 3rd year.
Okay.
So we do that, and give them context of some of what
the actual problems on the ground
problems.
are.
Yeah. And then we work a lot in India doing education or making education available. And, but it's more in the, what do you call it? We're not like opening schools for girls or anything like that. That's not our thing.
Right.
But we are in the not tech, what is it called? Trades.
The trades.
So we're in the trades, trying to keep people gainfully employed, and it be inspiring for their children to learn their trade, learn their craft. Okay. Learn natural dyeing, block printing, embroidery, weaving.
And is that done through your foundation?
Through both.
Okay.
Maiwa, basically through the foundation, but Maiwa's the largest donor to the foundation up to now. But we do fundraisers and stuff too as well. But
yeah, you do so much. Like, there's so many parts of the business that are just exciting to me.
It's exciting to me. Always has been. Yeah. And this whole little thing that we've gone through for the last couple of years was pretty
Is the
stunning.
Illness we will not name? Is that the one?
The plague or whatever.
Yeah.
It was stunning to me because it hit us hard.
Sure.
As it hit everybody. And I was pretty amazed at seeing that we were actually placed exactly right for the times.
Yeah.
We were flexible. We could, I hate the word now, pivot, but we did. And we were working on projects that now I see, like we're working on this large project in India where we have our own studio in India and our own, what we call dorms, which is for staff, but also for artisans we work with to come and learn whatever they want to learn, like how to export. We want to directly export, or how to do their books, or how to get a dye color that doesn't fade, that is fading. So we have a studio, but it's a working studio. So it's our sewing studio, but we have a dye studio. We work all over India with textiles and dyes, but all the textiles go to the studio for making into garments or bedding or whatever.
Okay.
So that we're building a new unit because we have 4 acres, because I would really like to prove whatever, that we can work with a 0 footprint. So This is that next stage where we harvest water. So no more bore wells. We want to prove that you do not have to live on a bore well.
Okay.
And that it can be harvested. It's expensive to build tanks. We're building tanks to hold the water. I mean, we have to do that here, for God's sakes, because we get into drought situations in the, what do we call it? The rainforest of the West, the wet coast.
The wet coast, yes.
Yeah. And still run out of public, water where we have to go under water restrictions.
Okay.
So in India, we're in the desert, and so water is a huge, 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 huge issue, and dyeing
requires a lot of water.
So a lot of what we've done up to now is develop recipes that don't require a lot of water, but doesn't also require throwing a lot of chemicals at fabrics.
Right.
Because that's the new thing that the chemical industry, that the synthetic dye textile industry is fixing a problem with chemistry, but they've got usually another 20 years before the chemical is banned again.
Right.
So this is that cycle we'd like to not, of course, be part of as the solution, but instead use solar, which we have a lot of. So solar energy and water harvesting is our next.
That's amazing.
And water cleaning. So all the water will get cleaned.
So purification systems.
Yeah, we have that's already there.
And is that like so is that like a tailing pond where you're doing natural filtration, or are you doing mechanical?
No, natural filtration.
Okay.
And so we're actually improving that next we have an engineer that's working on now one more layer it's pretty easy because all our dyeing is natural. We of course use chemicals. We use mordants and alums, and everything is chemical. So we have that, and we still use ferrous, and we take that out separately, and then we filter that separately. So some of the things we're learning about, like with working with soda ash and all of those, we're learning about how to separately treat them and building the tanks for that. So hopefully it'll be something that, because we've done it, other people may be interested to do it.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think that I was hoping to be able to ask you those questions about the chemicals that are in it. So I'm glad that you just brought that up naturally. That's so great.
It is chemicals for sure.
Yeah, natural dyes are, just because they're natural doesn't
doesn't mean good.
It doesn't mean that it's awesome, because chemicals are, everything is chemicals.
But there's lots of ways to get your color palette safely.
And there's also ways to responsibly dispose of those wastes and neutralize those compounds after the fact as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I want to take a minute here to thank you for listening to the Threads of Sustainability podcast. I've really loved all of the interviews that I've done already and looking forward to doing so much more. If you're enjoying what you're hearing and you want to support the podcast, you can do that on my website at bridgetoflaherty.com, and you can buy me a cup of tea. I don't drink coffee, so I'd love a cuppa, and you can pay what you want. You can also follow, like, share the podcast episodes with a friend. I love getting your support, and I love getting your feedback. Don't forget to send me an email and tell me what you think. And now I'll get back to more conversation with Charllotte Kwon from Maiwa. You have a mordant that is on your website, which I have tried and actually really love. And it is a natural mordant.
Simplocos?
Yeah. Tell me about that.
That is something, that's available all over the world, but we get it from Babali, this organization started by William and Jean Ingram in Indonesia. And so they had this dream, like all of us have these dreams that we'll throw a good 10 years at, to stop them cutting this tree down. That was very necessary. And because of that, they realized, there's a whole group of dyers that use leaves. They use the dead leaves that have fallen. They crush them, and it's the natural, it's alum accumulator,
right?
Like tea, the tea plant. The bottom leaves are alum accumulators. And because they proved to the locals that this tree shouldn't be cut down for, I think it was firewood or maybe pulp and paper, I'm not sure. Shouldn't be cut down.
So it had more value.
It had more value with letting it just grow and the leaves fall and grow and the leaves fall. And that became the Babali project. And it's Simplocos. And Simplocos is available in all over the world.
It's amazing.
A variety. It's like an acacia tree in the sense that there's so many, or like eucalyptus, so many varieties.
I was so excited to find that.
And it works. We find it works better on protein than cellulose, but we're learning the cellulose recipe is quite dense for people, and we're doing a lot of testing about how to maybe make it a little less dense. But for people that don't want to use alum, we don't have a problem using alum. But aluminum potassium sulfate. But people who want a pure plant product, it's beauty.
Yeah, I was really excited by it, mostly because of the offshoots of supporting this effort in the country where it's grown. That felt really great to me.
And that's the strongest projects that you can ever build, are those small projects that mean so much to the local community. So that, like this water harvesting, every farmer for kilometers in all directions from us are watching it.
Right.
They're watching
because they will be able to then replicate that and use that in their own.
Because bore wells have gone from, when I was first in India, bore wells were 25 feet. They're now 350 feet.
Wow.
There's not even sweet water in our area to drink.
Wow.
In India, whereas it used to always be.
Okay.
Yeah. And so bore wells are not regulated. They try desperately, but water is so necessary. People will go to all kinds of even illegal activities of drilling a bore well there. And that's not just India, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we need water.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have a dried up, like we're on the edge of a riverbank that's long dried up. Every once in a while, we have a big monsoon there that we see the river come above ground. Very little. But when we talk to the engineers, I mean, couldn't talk to you too much about the water and everything, but we have a whole group of engineers advising us as far as the, and building as far as water treatment and tweaking it and so forth. But they really believe there's a chance that this project could change the water table.
Amazing.
Yeah. If
And
enough
actually
farmers
replenish back
stopped using their bore wells and instead there was a program to help them finance what used to be called step wells, which
Right.
are now called, underwater underground water tanks, storage tanks.
Okay.
But they're expensive for a farmer to build. We know that now. Or always have, but we're building ours at 1.5 million liters. But in a monsoon, that's easy to get. It would just be, instead what happens in the monsoon, India and lots of countries in the world get so much rain at one time that it's destructive.
Right. Yeah.
And
so
this
it
can
erodes
stop
soils
that. It's not like there's not enough water going into the underground. It's just there's not enough underground capacities for water to go to.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So that's what these step wells were always so brilliant. They're all old step wells are all over India, but they were the water storage tanks and they kept the
And are they able to repurpose those or refurbish those to be useful again?
Some of them, but if people are drilling 250-foot bore wells around them, they're not going to fill.
Right.
They're not going to fill. And ours has been redesigned. It is actually a step well underneath the ground just for the aesthetic of it, but it's covered because of the evaporation and that.
Right.
So we feel like maybe this might be the start of something kind of exciting. You cannot destroy a well in India. So on the property there, we have a 80-foot well. And we're very excited to see if that might fill. Okay. Just from being a localized well that we're not tapping into the groundwater. We're just harvesting from roof water, rainwater.
And do you have, like, a lot of people will have programs set up within their retail sales that funnel funds from the retail into those projects? Is that how you work
everything that Maiwa has funneled all of our profits go into that. We pay our obligations, of course, so our mortgage payments and our rent and our staff and all our overhead, and of course the cost of goods and everything. And then anything is left always has gone back into it.
Into that research and into understanding that.
Yeah.
And do you have a place where people who are your customers might be able to contribute in terms
of donations? Just through the foundation. The foundation. And that's online. And we get a nice, healthy contribution to that.
That's awesome.
We haven't during COVID, and I totally understand that. People were very careful and we haven't really even been able to do our wonderful like auctions or fundraisers and stuff.
Right.
But that'll come.
Challenging.
That'll come. And we're nicely supported by a couple of very generous people. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you have online a manifesto.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about how that came about?
Well, it was interesting. In that kind of spread of that page that has all kinds of books and yarns and inspiration in that, there's a little green book, and it was like the size of actually I based it off the size of a CD case at that time,
Yeah.
And it was a little book that we produced way, way early on with me trying to figure out where I belonged in this world of being fascinated and absolutely learning so much from dyers from different parts of the world. And of course, primarily India for me, because I fell in love with that country 30 some years ago. And did I belong? It was trying to figure out what a white woman working in India what was my role? Where did I belong? And it's very personal.
Yeah.
And so we missed our 25th. We were like, we got to do something for our 25th anniversary. And we're like, oh, we're 28. So this is
time went by there.
Missed that. So then when we got to our 30th, one of our creative director, she said, we should revisit that manifesto. It always was something I went back to when I wasn't quite sure if these graphics were Maiwa or whatever.
Right.
And so she said, we should revisit it. And so it was revisiting the Quiet Manifesto. It was my original one was the Quiet Manifesto, the preservation of craft. We told stories, and then all the artisans told what Maiwa has meant in their life, and so that's what kind of came out of that.
Yeah, it's really lovely read. Like,
yeah.
And you also have on your website an enormous amount of education materials for people to know how to use your dyes.
Absolutely. And free education has really been important to us. I mean, of course, once we have, there's a certain amount of our profits from our overheads, or from our certain amount of money from our profits that goes into free education. And then obviously we used to do in-person workshops, and that was sad that was a consequence of COVID, and it was stunning to me to build a school for 10 years, and a school that had such depth, and people came from all over the world to learn natural dyes, and we made those workshops were unbelievable.
I can only imagine.
Unbelievable. They were so, it was important to me that, it was important to me that anybody who walked into a classroom knew, it doesn't matter whether they had flights were late, their Airbnb didn't look very good, but when they walked into this classroom or other classroom in our studio, that they knew they were in absolutely the right place in their life and to be. And they were incredibly well organized and amazingly well, like supplies and everything were of the really great quality. Teachers, great quality.
Amazing.
And when it shut, it was our biggest hit financially, because it shut it takes so much to put something like that on. It's all front ended. So we'd already printed 10,000 calendars, mailed out 10,000 calendars, hired all the teachers, done all the, all the flights, and then cut all the fabric and prepped everything. And then at the very beginning, it was canceled. 640 students had to refund.
Wow.
Took out loans and everything and did it. But it was, and then dealing with our own, we were shut. The stores were shut. Tours were canceled. Textile tours were canceled. And it was like, shoot,
how do we pivot on this?
Yeah. But it became, I'm so grateful to have, we were quarantined the minute we came back from India.
Sure.
I had stopped in France and England on the way back, to oblivious. Everything was, to me, happening in Italy and Spain.
I was in Italy.
Yeah, okay. So you got the news.
I got home the day they shut Venice, and I left Venice 2 hours before they closed the airport.
Yeah, so what date is that?
The 22nd of February.
Okay, so we were the 9th of May. We were in London, flew from India to London, went to Paris. Nothing was closed. We got closed on the 14th of March. Paris closed, and we had our flights out. And then it was my kids who said, Mom, you're going to have to quarantine. As soon as you get to the airport, they're going to quarantine you because of where you've been.
Wow.
We filled your flat for me and my husband. We filled your flat. Everything's fine, but you will not be able to come to work or anything. Wow. So I'm like, you guys are taking this a bit serious.
Right. And then 2 years later.
Yeah. And I sort of thought, I was in that quarantine time where I said to my husband, I said, I want to change everything. I want to change everything. I want to change the structure. I want to change, one store's got to go. I want to put the classes online. We've only got 2 months to do this. And we just started recording classes and so forth. And then we ended up having 2 years. So we ended up getting 5 workshops online.
Amazing.
7 free ones. And we've got 2 more we're working on, and another 6 free ones, I think.
That's amazing.
And so free, for sure, free. And we also redid that whole site, naturaldyes.ca, which is all our recipes, which is free. And we redid that, had a chance to redo that. We worked on that all of June and July and August, I think, of the first year, 2020.
Yeah. Yeah,
COVID,
yeah.
it got
The
all
amount
that
of
tight.
information that's on there is just incredible, and
Yeah.
I love the imagery that you use also in
Yeah.
all of the documents that you've got there, and you've got
Right on.
videos available for people that just
Yeah.
make it really clear. And again, the imagery is just it's
Yeah,
delicious.
we want to make it
it's
yummy.
delicious,
And it's one thing why I wanted to start the school and have the symposium and the lecture series and the exhibitions and all of that, was to help people who are in textiles and not in textiles to know that it's so incredibly important. It's professional, it's important, it's changing the world.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do everything in that level that we believed it, and we wanted everybody else to believe it.
That's amazing. Yeah. I admire you so very, very much. And I'm so thrilled that you let me come here and talk to you. And this is one of very few, I rarely do live interviews with people because I in-person interviews.
This is the first one I've had live. I've had interviews
usually on Zoom.
Yeah. Right? And it's just lovely. And I kept looking at your email. Is it live or is she going to be calling in?
No, I'm coming here because I happen to be here for Quilt Canada. So it just was perfect timing, and just so grateful that you're willing to take some time to talk to me.
Of course.
I think it's a really important story, and the idea of sustainability for craftspeople and giving them options and knowledge to make changes that they might want to make.
Yeah, because they've got the biggest vision.
Yeah.
They see both worlds.
Yeah.
They see the consumer world, they see the craft world, they see the inspiration of craft and the arts and the amount of hard work it is. They see all of that.
But it's also so exciting.
They have eyes both ways, and that really, really helps the general public.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that artists that are out there who are making the change towards natural dyes really want to know where their options. If they're making that change to natural dyes, they want to know how do I know that these are actually the natural dyes that I want to use? That,
and how do I protect my work so that, I'm using the right recipes? And you will never get you cannot turn a natural dye into a synthetic dye in all its attributes. It has a different story. People always ask me, how can I scale up? Or, I get asked probably monthly by industry, can you come and consult on how we can, and introduce natural dyes into our systems and machinery. And they'll always tell me, so just so you know, we don't want it to fade. We don't want it to, we want it to be wash fast in all levels of detergents and everything. I said, no, then natural dyes
they want
is
it
not
to behave
the same way. They want to behave the same. They don't want to change anything.
Right.
But industry wants the story badly of natural dyes. And I'm here to say that ain't your story.
Yeah.
That story belongs to the artisans and craftspeople and people who will work to use natural dyes to slow down the fashion industry, to slow down the textile industry, and to help bond the consumer to the ideal they have of themselves as consumers.
Yeah.
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 And they want to make change. Every consumer, if you said, if you could use your money to make a difference for better, would you, or would you choose not to? They would always choose, no, I want to use my money to change the world.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be poor because of it. And I don't want to lose money. I know all of these things, but natural dyes, that's the beauty and the story of natural dyes. And it doesn't belong to industry.
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And there's a real,
not until industry changes,
right,
at least.
And there's a real uptick in awareness now, I think, and sustainability is almost becoming a buzzword.
Yeah, just like organic or natural or whatever.
Yeah, and it can easily be misconstrued. And if somebody uses the word sustainable in whatever their product information is, people just assume, oh, well, if they've said it's sustainable, it must be.
It must be, yeah. But the flip side of that is people will eventually go, well, what is sustainable anyhow? And they'll question it all over again.
Yeah, which is why I'm having these kinds of conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
So that people can be armed with a little bit of information on how to take a look at it.
Yeah, nobody's doing it perfectly, but there's so many good people out there doing a part of it all, and we're all hoping that we'll all join. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt in my mind.
Same here. Yeah. I really strongly
there's
believe
a new generation of people that care, that really do.
They really care.
The younger generation are, and I'm talking like 20 to 30, maybe 5s or so. They're deeply kind.
Yeah.
And they're deeply supportive of people who are, and inspired by people who are, you know, starting a new business or selling something on Etsy or selling something, you know, not in the conventional way of where you say, oh, you sold it to that store, so you only got 50%, and then the store makes this and no, that whole thing. They're breaking down somewhat the infrastructure of how things
and I think,
change hands.
Like, I've got kids in that age range,
Mm.
and what I'm seeing coming out of them and the conversations their friends are having is this idea around communal effort.
Exactly.
And it's changing away from the individual mindset.
Yeah.
And it's about how your friends are impacted or how your community is impacted by the choices you're making.
Exactly.
And it is a really
and it's
different,
your community. Yeah, they really get community in that sense.
And I think I think they are going to change the world.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's where,
unfortunately, it's their burden. But
sorry,
we tried. We're still trying, and we're going to support you on that. It is.
Well, and I think some of the efforts that are being made by our generation and some of these slightly older baby boomers were trying to lay those foundations of changing. Grassroots efforts were started through those communities.
And there's been a lot of good people doing that, and they need to not get forgotten.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking to me today.
Thank you.
It's really lovely to talk with you.
Right on.
And so I'm just going to do the quick thing. How can people get in touch with you? How can they find you?
Well, maybe online, and I'm going to just take a bit more of your time to just to say what we've gone through. I get people who don't want to go online, and I get people who want to have nothing change and the stores remain and the restaurants remain and so forth. But seriously, online isn't Amazon anymore. Online is a lot of small businesses who have pivoted and survived what we've all gone through in the last 2 years. Yeah. And if we get it all the time with people coming through, don't tell me to shop online, just don't. That's too bad, because you're going to miss a lot of small people surviving. There's a lot of creativity going on online that has never happened before. Yeah. And so, yes, you can find us at Maiwa.com online. Maiwa.teachable.com for our teaching platform. We use the teachable.com platform, and there's lots of free workshops there, as well as there's chargeable workshops, and our online workshops are unbelievable. They're just I just can't say enough. They're very, very different, and they're very deep and in-depth. Every module, there's about 8 to 10 modules per workshop. They drip once a week, and every one is full of PDFs, and teachers answer questions 3 days a week.
Amazing.
Through the 10 weeks, and once a week, you have it for 3 years. So once a week for another year. And I'm so stunned as a teacher myself to what has happened by making it available to the world, and to have a cohort that goes through, and they're from, Sri Lanka and Pakistan and Argentina and Mexico and America and Canada and France and Norway, and the cohorts that go through bond so beautifully. It's amazing. So it's just like an in-person, but different.
Well, and it's that community again,
It's that community, and we've always been able to build community.
Yeah.
So I feel really strongly that all the teachers, all of us that teach online, and all that has gone into the writing of them, the filming, the editing, the music, everything is first class. And so very excited about that. And there's lots more in the pipeline. And the one that's coming up now is actually just on the desk here. What's it called? It is, we've just finished writing it, Naturalized Alchemy, Chemistry, and Craft.
Amazing.
And that will talk about all the chemicals that go into natural, so-called dyeing, and the history and so forth, and also going forward, helping people understand all of that. And then you can find us on Instagram. We have 3 handles, and of course Facebook and all the others. There's lots of community.
Lots of ways to connect and find
with us. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Your website is just.
Yeah. Naturaldyes.ca is that's not where we sell anything. It's all our recipes, all our information.
So
and
much
it's
information
updated
there.
Monthly.
Yeah.
Like everything that we learn and we put in there.
Yeah. It's an incredible wealth of information on that. It's really amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've been a purchaser of your dyes for several years now. It's when I came back into my quilt world after going off and doing work and kids and all that stuff. I came back into this world and really wanted to bring sustainability into what I do with my quilting and textiles, and really wanted to shift towards those natural dyes, and took some natural dyes courses and that kind of stuff, and then started playing around with it in my own work and what I do. And I haven't stepped to the teaching natural dyes yet, but I definitely incorporate it in all of my own work that I do, and love playing with it. I did have a little issue with some fugitive work that happened with an indigo, which was really strange.
Indigo's...
It left my piece. It's gone completely.
Yeah, it depends on how it's neutralized. But also we're realizing, just even the ozone level, the air is treating indigo a little bit different, because we can wrap it all up, but still it can have a fade problem.
Yeah,
but we're doing a lot of testing in that, and part of that is the high pH and how you get your pH. So calcium hydroxide is how we do. So sometimes it's a problem if it's not fully neutralized.
Yeah. So I obviously did something wrong because it left my art pieces, and I was a little upset about that. I'm going to have to go over them now with like Inktense pencils or something and get them back. But my blue left. Anyway, thank you. Really
pleasure.
So much for this. I can't wait to go downstairs and walk through the shop.
Right on.
And see.
It's a great team down there.
And see all of the fabrics, and you've got finished clothing too. So we're going to talk about that just a little bit. Tell me about your finished clothing.
The
stuff
finished
that you bring
clothing.
In.
So that was fine. Trying to, at first we had bedding. So we work with artisans, and we're always working with artisans who either have never left natural dyes or are willing to return to natural dyes. So bedding was a natural for that, organic cotton and bedding, but it wasn't quite enough to sustain all the artisans we were working with, or who wanted to start working with us. So fashion is like, oh my God. So I initially used to do all the design of the garments and so forth to make it possible. So just simple classic styles is what has always been our thing. Now my daughter Safina has taken over all of that. All of that is based on the fact that some of our stuff is even hand spun. So it'll be hand spun or mill spun, hand woven, naturally dyed, sometimes in the yarn stage, sometimes by block printing or full immersion dyeing. And then we cut all the fabrics and sewed them into garments in India, in our studio, just outside Jaipur. And so we're always looking to to invite and pull in as many hands as absolutely possible, and not into the fashion industry, and not make those hands simply labor, but it's actually their skill, and not dividing their skill at all. So we work with, weavers who will weave everything. That's not just, hand weave everything. It's not just partial, we don't factorize anything. Everything stays in the village if it's meant to be, if it comes from the village. And then also even how our sewers work is we do a lot of hand work and so forth, and hand embroidery. And when we do embroidery, it's really important that the embroidery speaks to who has done the embroidery, not just by a name, but, this is Jat embroidery, this is Mutwa embroidery, this is, and the community that has built that embroidery of language, like the community that's built the weave structures and so forth, people can recognize who that is. You can tell where it's coming from. It's not divided, and basically I call it factorizing. Right. Where you take people that are highly skilled and move them to the city and put them in factories. And
it's more, it's artisan.
Divided up. It's artisan work, yeah. And so we also do a whole line of clothing that's like natural fabrics and naturally sewn with natural threads. So that people who are doing, and it's all in blanks and beautiful, different types of beautiful fabrics, so that artisans can buy them and do their own work on them. So that's our blank line.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. So clothing is something, of course, the biggest amount of clothing is online. And what our shop is a showcase. It changes weekly. It's a showcase of who we are. So it's got dyes from the farmers, and it's got sewing materials, and it's got clothing and running fabric and
amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. I can't wait to go and look through everything and see what those
it's a hopping place.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. I can't thank you enough. This is, when I get to meet people like Charllotte and hear about the efforts and the dedication she has to making a difference in people's lives, I feel like there's really hope for our planet. And it makes me feel very excited about our future when we have people like that working that hard to make a difference in people's everyday lives. It's really inspiring. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I've been really enjoying bringing these to you. If you want to join a community where we're talking about sustainability in quilting and textiles, and if you're on Facebook, you can come on over to my Facebook group, and it is the Sustainable Quilting and Textiles group. And I'd be happy to have you in there and join the conversation that we're having on a regular basis about different ways we can be sustainable in our world. If you're interested in a community that engages with sustainability in quilting and textiles, you can join the Learning Hub at BridgetO'Flaherty.com. There you will find memberships, online courses, supplies, and resources for sustainability and my textile art. You can also book me to speak with or teach your group. You can find me on social media at The Sustainable Quilter. Don't forget to comment, like, and share, and to follow me on your favorite podcast app so you won't miss an episode. Thanks for joining me, and I'm so excited to share this journey with you. Until next time, happy stitching.